Thank you for the opportunity to address Council this evening. For the past 25 years, I've specialized in the sale of rental apartment buildings and multi-family development sites. I've come to appreciate the market forces as they relate to the value of an owner's building and their respective land value. With respect, I'm here tonight because the Council's proposed moratorium is a draconian measure and will negatively impact tenants, condo buyers, and investors. These parties will be the unintended victims due to sharply reduced quality and supply, as well as much higher rents and condo prices. In addition, apartment owners will bear significant costs and reduced asset values. As a result, landlords of older buildings, to compensate for the loss of values they assumed they had, will be forced to make up these values with higher rents. While fears over the loss of affordable rental housing may be warranted, it would be preferable for the Council to support the creation of new rental initiatives to replace older, inefficient buildings. Owners of other real estate classes, be it single-family, industrial, or commercial, enjoy unfettered use of their lands, especially where renewal of their property is required. Unlike the rental apartment industry, owners in these areas are seldom impacted by the likes of a moratorium, downzoning, punitive tax measures, or rent controls. Even MLA Mr. Gregor Robertson, the leader of this moratorium, is aware of this fact, but indeed there are many votes to be gained from tenants. If this initiative is approved, why would investors acquire apartment buildings if there exists little chance of appreciation on the land? What incentives would there be for existing owners to maintain and upgrade their 50-year-old buildings? Is this not a recipe for slums? The average age of purpose-built rental buildings is approximately 50 years old. In many cases, the building's value is 80 to 100% of land value. In other words, they're approaching the end of their economic life. Let's examine the policy paper in item number 2 under possible consequences of recommended rental housing policy. City staff suggests increased supply will come in commercial zones, but do not consider whether condo purchasers or renters might prefer to live in residential areas rather than commercial areas. Most notably, city staff concede that owners of rental housing stock would have limited opportunities to redevelop their properties, and that it will also have adverse long-term consequences such as accelerated disincentives. Restricting redevelopment furthers the very problem it is supposed to alleviate, namely lack of affordable housing due to a housing shortage. If the supply of housing is increased as people move from renting to ownership, the trickle-down effect increases the rental supply at the lower end. It's been estimated by CMHC that 40% of all new condo units in downtown Vancouver are purchased by investors who intend to put the units up for rent. The policy report overlooks the very positive impact that new condo housing is having on Vancouver's rental supply. There is great concern over the proposed dilution of owners' property rights presently guaranteed in existing zoning bylaws. Stakeholders are cynical about the proposed moratorium ever being removed. Look at the West End 10 years later. Nothing has changed there despite an expanded economy and a significant increase in population. As the viability of projects has lessened, it is the apartment owner who is singled out for unfair treatment. Because of the proposed moratorium, developers will be obligated to subsidize the rental housing component, which in turn reduces the value of the owner's property. Even with a doubling of density to 3.6 FSR in a 20-story high-rise, it is unlikely that such a project would be financially viable. It would not compensate for the cost of replacing 60 theoretical rental units. With a finite supply of land and low rental inventory, it is the role of our elected representatives to remove the shackles of the supply side. Solutions are required to deal with soaring land values, construction costs, development levies, height restrictions, suppressed density levels, GST charges, and the absence of any federal tax incentives since 1974. Investors, including pension funds desirous of constructing and owning new rental buildings, are unable to achieve a reasonable return on investment, even with rents of $1,300 for a small one-bedroom.
Okay, sir.
I have 4 more lines. May I? Thank you. Our development industry is a world-class operation, well-equipped to build not just market housing, but also to create purpose-built units. However, the very thought of a private sector investment dollars being channeled into new purpose-built rental buildings without a paradigm shift is laughable. Our municipal government must work to fill the growing supply gap rather than legislate new disincentives.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mira Oret.